A man, who was once an exorcist, endures until he faces an evil presence that is liberated. The night exists among genuine and incredible, their battle to stop the restoration of the devil has started. Around 2,500 years prior, 2,500 years, a beast crossed the extension from damnation to the human domain to make human misery. Buddha tore both the red and black eyes from the beast and locked them inside various Saraira coffins. Before the red eye gave up to Buddha, it took off for 7 days by concealing inside human bodies. On the 8th day, the red eye thought back. Realizing that it can't get away from Buddha, it gave itself over to Buddha. The eyes were covered in the bluffs of the Far East and desert of the Far West. Buddha trained his devotees to ensure they could never meet. In the present, Professor Kim Juncheol sets out in the desert to demonstrate the presence of the Saraira coffins. He views an artifact which is assumed as one of the coffins. In any case, established researchers pronounce his discoveries to be fake and are evaded by all. After 14 years, Professor Kim, presently a severe, still up in the air to demonstrate the reality of his revelation by rejoining the black and red eyes. He opens the coffin and empties a vial of blood into it, alongside his own. Prior to Professor Kim was going to surrender, the red eye arose out of the coffin, probably having Professor Kim. In Gwangju, Banti Hayong, defender of the black eye coffin, understands the red eye has stirred. He tells a youthful priest, Chongsik, the legend of the beast with 2 eyes. Soon thereafter, Banti Hayong lets Chongsik know that the red eye has stirred and will before long rejoin with the black eye. They should kill essentially the 7th point of support, the virgin shaman, to keep the red eye from rejoining with the black eye. Chongsik should find Banti Sianhua and illuminate him regarding what is going on. The next morning, Chongsik tracks down Banti Hayong dead, probably passing on in his rest. Chongsik finds the Saraira coffin adjacent to the dead priest. In the meantime in Chilgok, the red eye assumes control over a tracker and goes into an inn, where a couple is seen checking in. The lady tells her sweetheart of a reflection bunch where she was given a free well-being exam and a blood test. The tracker probably goes after a couple who looked into the disconnected inn. Analysts Kim Hote and Dong Jin explore the scene, and find the tracker's body dried and deteriorated in only a couple of hours. Cameras show that the lady was seen leaving the lodging. Later on, exactly the same lady was found in another area, her body tracked down in a comparable state as that of the trackers. Because of the odd state of the 2 casualties, Dong Jin proposed the assistance of a virgin shaman that he knew. Nonetheless, being a doubter, Kim denies the thought. Chongsik left Gwangju looking for Banti Sianhua. Tragically, he lost his pack containing the coffin and some cash. He assumed that it was taken by a little kid, who vanished into the group. Chongsik finds Sianhua, who was presently a development laborer utilizing his genuine name, Park Jin-soo, and tells him, by means of composing, because of his commitment of quietness, of what occurred in Gwangju. In his flashbacks, it is uncovered by Hayong's soul that Sianhua left the cloister as he would have rather not been Hayong's replacement. Sianhua additionally ignored his obligation of assisting lost spirits with climbing, and that their endless spirits are sticking on his back. The next morning, Sianhua gets ready to leave and look for the 7th support point, with Chongsik following him. Sianhua assumes that the 7th support point is the virgin shaman that the priests of Gwangju are familiar with. Sianhua treats Chong-suk, in any event, getting him another set of shoes. Chongsik says thanks to Sianhua, incidentally ending his commitment of quiet. In the meantime, the red eye had proactively moved from an alternate lady, and a conveyance man showed up. The conveyance man addressed her call, as the 2 of them were individuals from a contemplation bunch. The red eye then, at that point, goes to the conveyance man, and later Detective Kim was called to see the body of a lady stuffed in a sewer. The lady additionally decayed and depleted like the initial 2 casualties. A bike and conveyance freight was likewise seen as deserted close by. Prior to boarding the transport, Sianhua was visited again by Hayong's soul. It is uncovered that Chongsik's mom accidentally ran over Sianhua and his better half and girl. His significant other and kid kicked the bucket, convincing Sianhua to carry on with a daily existence as a priest in Gwangju. At the point when Chongsik's mom passed on, she composed a letter to Sianhua requesting that he embrace Chong-suk. Sianhua does as such, but leaves him in Gwangju. He then, at that point, left the cloister in his obligations, never turning into an appointed priest. As they show up, Xianhua advises Zhongxi to look for shaman administrations around the area, expecting to track down the virgin shaman. After learning of the new bizarre murder, Xianhua goes to the passage where the Lady in conveyance cruiser was found. Analyst Kim stops him, requesting Xianhua's qualifications and runs his ID for any crook records. At the point when Kim asked Xianhua to open his sack, which contained a hatchet, Xianhua attempted to take off. The two got into a fight, and Xianhua had to leave his guide. Zhongxi tracks down the place of the virgin shaman, and a young lady gives her access. She was a similar young lady who took his effects, yet Zhongxi became partial to her. Zhongxi leaves, however when he ventures outside, he sees an understudy gazing at him. The understudy uncovered the red eye, being the sixth support point. Zhongxi takes off in dread, and meets with Xianhua to advise him regarding what occurred. Xianhua advises Zhongxi to return home, and discovers that he needs to kill the young lady who he accepts to be the seventh point of support and the virgin shaman. They headed out in a different direction, however Zhongxi returned to the virgin shaman and removed the virgin shaman. In the meantime, Dongjin advises Kim regarding Xianhua's past. They were likewise ready to associate the casualties together. They were all individuals from a reflection bunch that Professor Kim had set up, and Dongjin had really went to see one of them who was as yet alive, a lady who was a similar virgin shaman Zhongxi unconsciously went to. Dongjin had a charm with his own blood made, because of the virgin shaman he met before, and gave it to Kim incidentally. Kim saved Dongjin from ending it all, and he was obliged to Kim. Kim had Dongjin leave while he utilizes Xianhua's guide to check whether he could find Xianhua. Xianhua tracks down the place of the virgin shaman, yet the woman inside focuses to a note. At the point when Xianhua defied the woman, she lashed her face with charms and Xianhua arranged to strike her down. Analyst Kim shows up so as to stop him, and the two square off again. Before Kim cuffed Xianhua, the understudy showed up and discarded him, with the charm he got from Dongjin shielding him from additional damage. The understudy understands that the young lady had proactively left, and Xianhua follows her, riding a charm on his hatchet utilizing his own blood. Be that as it may, the understudy runs into Dongjin, deceiving the youthful criminal investigator to safeguard her from Xianhua. She has Dongjin, and dries and breaks down. Dongjin doesn't kill Xianhua, yet advises him to make a beeline for Guanzhou, where he will bite the dust. In the meantime, Zhongxi took the young lady to Guanzhou, and Xianhua and the had Dongjin showed up later. Criminal investigator Kim returned to the virgin shaman's home, and it is uncovered that the woman who almost kicked the bucket was the genuine virgin shaman, and that the young lady Zhongxi was with is really a phantom that she tracked down residing with Professor Kim. The genuine virgin shaman discovers that her name was Airan, who was a mishandled kid that was saved by Professor Kim. Teacher Kim had prepared her to be the penance that will help the beast from rejoining its two eyes. Teacher Kim additionally deceived the individuals from the reflection bunch into giving their blood, by means of the free blood tests, to utilize their blood to gather the red eye, and later turning into the 7 venturing stones. Airan hooked onto the virgin shaman, and she utilized her to deceive Dongjin into giving his own blood, so he could be had later on. It was likewise this virgin shaman, moved by Airan, who took the coffin Zhongxi was conveying days prior. Analyst Kim passes on to Guanzhou looking for Dongjin. Ha-young's replacement, the title was moved to Zhongxi. This implied that Main Chong-suk been able to open the coffin containing the black eye. Dongjin orders the apparition of Ai hurried to find Chong-suk, who was stowing away close by. Still entranced, Airan had the option to eliminate Chong-sik's robe, which had a charm Xianhua made. Dongjin orders Xianhua to shoot himself for being such a disappointment throughout everyday life, except Xianhua shoots Dongjin, all things being equal, however useless. Chong-sik takes off from the hand Dongjin, and experiences Detective Kim. Analyst Kim attempts to stop Dongjin, however was again tossed viciously aside, by safeguarded by Dongjin's charm in his pocket. Xianhua figures out how to shoot Dongjin's powerless left leg. However, Dongjin creeps to Chong-sik in pursuit. Xianhua conveys a killing catastrophe for Dongjin's back, yet he had chance by Detective Kim. Criminal investigator Kim heads toward Dongjin, yet his carcass is dried and decayed. The red eye has effectively had Chong-suk, and it tosses Detective Kim onto a sharp branch, killing the detective. As the black eye emerges, the red eye snatches the withering Xianhua. It changes itself to a youthful rendition of Chong-sik, and tortures Xianhua into choking the little fellow, seeing as his mom was the reason for his family's demises. Notwithstanding, Xianhua endures, touching the little fellow's cheek. The Red Eye returns to the adult Chongseek, and was going to kill Xianhua with the hatchet. Xianhua traps Chongseek's arm while reciting a spell. As he was touching Chongseek's face, he was really composing another charm utilizing his own blood onto Chongseek's face. This constrained the Red Eye to have Xianhua, and he requested that Chongseek kill him. Chongseek accumulates the boldness to do as such, killing Xianhua and halting the gathering of the Red Eye and Black Eye all the while. Chong Suk is subsequently found in the boundary of India and Pakistan, and gets the coffin once again to where it was first uncovered. Airun shows up before him, and Chongseek offers up his hand. As Airun's soul snatches Chongseek's hand, the chains on her lower legs were unchained, apparently liberating her. So companions, our story closes here. If you like this story, then please subscribe the channel or like the video. Soon we will meet you with another new and intriguing story.